7 Brutal Truths About Loving a Dismissive Avoidant. If you have ever loved someone who always seemed emotionally distant, this video may explain the painful reality you have been living. You kept believing more patience, more love, and more understanding would eventually melt their walls, but something never truly changed. Today, we are uncovering 7 brutal truths about loving a dismissive avoidant that many people realize only after losing themselves. These truths are not meant to shame anyone, because dismissive avoidance usually develops from deep emotional wounds and protective patterns. However, understanding these realities can help you stop confusing emotional distance with mysterious love or hidden commitment waiting to appear. Stay until the end, because the final truth explains why so many caring partners remain trapped long after happiness quietly disappears forever. The first brutal truth is that love alone rarely makes a dismissive avoidant feel emotionally safer inside a relationship. Many people assume consistent affection naturally creates closeness, but dismissive avoidants often experience intimacy as overwhelming emotional pressure instead. The more emotionally available you become, the more their nervous system may interpret that closeness as something dangerously demanding. This does not always mean they dislike you, because their withdrawal often protects them from emotional vulnerability instead of rejection. You may keep giving your best while wondering why every beautiful moment suddenly turns into unexplained emotional distance once again. Without personal healing, your increasing love can accidentally trigger stronger avoidance instead of creating the connection you desperately hoped for. The second brutal truth is that you may slowly become addicted to emotional breadcrumbs instead of genuine, consistent intimacy together. A dismissive avoidant often gives affection in unpredictable cycles that create hope before suddenly disappearing behind emotional walls again. Those brief moments of warmth feel incredibly rewarding because they arrive after long periods of confusion and painful emotional silence. Eventually, your heart begins celebrating tiny acts of affection that would normally be considered basic relationship expectations by most couples. You stop asking whether your emotional needs are truly being met because occasional closeness feels surprisingly valuable after constant distance. This pattern quietly trains you to accept emotional inconsistency while convincing yourself that progress is finally beginning to happen. The third brutal truth is that chasing them usually pushes them even farther away than before, without either partner realizing it. When you ask for reassurance, deeper conversations, or emotional clarity, they may hear criticism instead of genuine emotional connection requests. Their automatic response often becomes creating more personal space instead of moving closer toward the relationship with greater emotional openness. You respond by trying harder, because distance naturally increases anxiety for someone craving love and emotional security from their partner. This creates the classic anxious and avoidant cycle, where both people unknowingly trigger each other's deepest relationship fears every single day. The harder you pursue emotional closeness, the stronger they may feel the urge to emotionally retreat into familiar protective patterns. The fourth brutal truth is that they often value independence so strongly that relationships sometimes become secondary to emotional comfort. Dismissive avoidance frequently learned early that depending on other people eventually leads to disappointment, criticism, or painful emotional neglect. Because of those experiences, self-reliance becomes their safest identity, and emotional dependence begins feeling deeply uncomfortable inside meaningful relationships. Even when they genuinely love someone, maintaining emotional distance may still feel safer than allowing complete vulnerability with another person. This can leave their partner constantly questioning whether they truly matter or simply fit conveniently into an already independent lifestyle. Healthy commitment requires balancing independence with emotional availability, something unhealed dismissive avoidants often struggle to consistently maintain over time. The fifth brutal truth is that silence does not always mean peace, because it frequently hides unresolved emotional conflict underneath. Many dismissive avoidants avoid difficult conversations because emotional confrontation activates uncomfortable feelings they learned to suppress long ago instead. Problems remain buried instead of resolved, allowing resentment and misunderstanding to quietly grow beneath the relationship's seemingly calm surface together. Their silence may appear mature from the outside, yet emotional avoidance often prevents genuine healing between two loving partners completely. Meanwhile, you spend endless nights wondering what went wrong, because meaningful conversations never seem to fully happen with lasting honesty. Relationships cannot thrive when difficult emotions remain permanently locked behind invisible emotional walls built for long-term self-protection and survival. The sixth brutal truth is that waiting for potential alone can cost you years of emotional happiness and personal self-worth. Many partners stay because they constantly see glimpses of the loving person hidden beneath the protective avoidant behaviors and defenses. Those beautiful moments create hope that permanent change is finally close, even though lasting transformation never consistently follows afterward naturally. Hope becomes dangerous whenever it replaces observing consistent actions instead of believing emotional promises about a brighter relationship tomorrow together. Real change happens when someone willingly recognizes their patterns and actively works toward healthier emotional habits with consistent commitment every day. Loving someone's future potential should never require sacrificing your present emotional health, confidence, peace, and relationship expectations completely. The seventh and most brutal truth is that you cannot heal another person's attachment wounds by loving them harder every day. Many compassionate partners believe endless patience eventually proves they are finally worthy of receiving consistent emotional closeness and lasting commitment. Unfortunately, attachment wounds usually heal through personal awareness, accountability, professional support, and intentional emotional growth instead of another person's sacrifices. You can inspire change, encourage healing, and create emotional safety, but you cannot complete someone else's healing journey for them. The moment you accept this truth, you stop measuring your worth by someone else's ability to emotionally connect with consistency. That realization often becomes the first genuine step toward healthier love, built on mutual effort, instead of endless emotional chasing forever. Loving a dismissive avoidant does not automatically mean your relationship is hopeless, because many people successfully heal unhealthy attachment patterns together. The difference is whether both partners willingly recognize destructive behaviors and actively choose emotional growth instead of comfortable avoidance every day. Healthy relationships require two people walking toward each other, not one person endlessly chasing while the other continues emotionally disappearing instead. You deserve love that feels emotionally secure, respectful, consistent, and deeply connected without constantly questioning your own worth or value. If this video helped you better understand dismissive avoidant relationships, share your thoughts because your experience may help someone else heal. Remember, the strongest relationships are built through mutual emotional availability, honest communication, and two hearts choosing each other every single day.